stop everything you're doing and hear me now. I am stepping into the very middle of your circumstance with full authority, not as an observer, but as your deliverer. What felt like a silent season wasn't absence. It was a build-up to this divine intervention. I have waited for this moment to activate the shift that hell tried to delay. I am not asking for your permission. I am commanding the shift to begin. The clock of the enemy has stopped ticking. The pressure you felt mounting is now crumbling under my glory. What was too heavy for you to carry is being lifted by my hand, and you will feel the release before this day ends. I'm not asking the situation to change. I'm declaring it will. I've issued orders in the unseen realm that will manifest in undeniable ways. Your name has been spoken in heaven, and the atmosphere around you is adjusting to my voice. Every dark shadow that tried to surround you is now scattering because my light has arrived. This isn't a normal moment. This is your prophetic turning point. I am stepping in not because you earned it, but because I've chosen you for something that must be fulfilled now. This is not the time for hesitation or doubt. Don't look back. Don't try to explain what I'm doing. Just receive it. I've already drawn the boundary lines around your pain and told it, no more. The enemy cannot hold you another second without violating my divine command. I'm stirring what's been stagnant. I'm breaking what's been blocked. I'm building what was buried. You may not have seen me move yet, but I promise you, your atmosphere is about to testify. Hold nothing back from me, because I'm holding nothing back from you. My power has entered with urgency, not delay. You are the reason I entered the room. Your faith, your tears, your surrender brought me here. And now that I'm here, you will never be the same. Get ready, because nothing around you is staying the same. The divine shift has already begun. The barriers that stood before you, that mocked your progress and whispered defeat, are no longer standing with the same force. I have walked ahead of you and pierced through the resistance that dared to delay your breakthrough. What you assumed was closed eternally has already begun to loosen under the pressure of my hand. Even while you were unaware, I was bending the very structure of impossibility. The gate that refused to move has been forced open because I spoke into it, not with pleading, but with divine force. My authority is not restricted by human timelines or natural limitations. I saw how many times you tried to knock, and how often you walked away thinking you had missed your moment, but you didn't miss anything. I was waiting for the perfect second to reveal the miracle that cannot be reversed. Right now, even as you read this, spiritual hinges are unlocking, and unseen doors are cracking open in dimensions you cannot yet touch with your hands but will soon walk through with clarity. I am not sending you back to beg again. I am summoning you to step forward and possess what belongs to you. There are ancient doors, generational gates, that were rusted shut, but my breath has restored them and called them to attention. What no man could unlock, what no prayer seemed to shift, is yielding to me now. Watch how things that once cost you years of delay begin to fall into your lap without resistance. You'll feel the air change around you. Conversations will turn, opportunities will locate you, and favor will flow like a sudden river in the desert. This isn't random. This is my strategic opening, designed for your feet to walk through and your faith to flourish. What looked like an impenetrable wall was merely waiting for me to touch it. And now that I have, there will be no going back to the season of waiting, no returning to the silence that used to haunt your hope. Keep your hands lifted and your spirit alert. The opening is not a trickle. It's a floodgate, and what's behind it has been kept pure for this appointed time. It's not just one door either. This is a chain reaction of divine entrances you never even asked for. I am undoing the concept of locked out from your story. Every time you said, "It's over," I whispered, "Not yet." And this is the proof of that promise. The impossible was never my limit. It was my canvas. I am sending a command into places that once treated you like a stranger, places where your name was overlooked, your worth was underestimated, your efforts dismissed, and I'm changing the atmosphere of rejection into divine recognition. Where once you stood outside, feeling forgotten and unheard, Now the same spaces are being instructed by my authority to make room for you. The doors that pretended not to see you, the opportunities that remained silent when you knocked, are being stirred by a supernatural decree. They cannot resist me. They are now under orders from heaven to open, to honor, and to respond. I am not asking them, I am requiring them. What once ignored your presence is now being required to celebrate your arrival. No longer will your value be buried under the weight of being unseen. No longer will you enter rooms wondering if you belong. I am flipping the narrative. I'm rewriting what they thought of you, what they said when you weren't in the room, what they presumed you couldn't do. They misjudged you because they hadn't yet seen my seal upon you. But now the seal is glowing. Now the call is undeniable. Now the sound of your favor is louder than the silence of your past rejections. I am placing your name in the mouths of decision makers. I am placing your image in front of those who never once considered you. I'm waking up memories in people who forgot you were even in the room once. Those who once dismissed you will be the first to stand and make space for what I am doing in you. I am not preparing a quiet arrival, I am preparing a divine unveiling that none of them can overlook. You were not too early, and you were never too late. I was preserving you from premature exposure. And now, those long-ignored doors are trembling as my voice speaks through them. They are becoming gates of divine transition. They are becoming altars of testimony. They will speak of how they were closed, and how they had no plans to shift, until my fire passed through. This is the moment where the unfamiliar becomes favor, where strangers are assigned to sponsor your next season. You won't have to convince them. You won't have to chase them. The ones who said no without looking twice will suddenly be drawn to honor what I've poured into you. It's not manipulation, it's manifestation. And once it starts, it will not stop. The tide has turned. The system is shifting, and everything that previously resisted you must now receive you, not by their will, but by my word. You don't have to shout anymore to be noticed. My wind will carry your name, and even those who ignored your knock will rush to open their doors before you even arrive. Keep your spirit ready. Welcome is being written into the places you once wept over. This time, the door will not reject you. It will open and rejoice. The decree has already gone out from the throne, and nothing in the earth can reverse what I've spoken over you. The shift you've prayed for, cried for, waited for in agony, it is now in divine motion. This is not an idea in process or a promise on hold. This is an executed command straight from the courts of glory. I have signed your release with the ink of eternity and thundered your name across dimensions. Even the angels are moving faster, responding not with hesitation, but with urgency. They are not coming to inspect. They are coming to deliver. I am not grafting a plan. I have activated a rescue. You are not waiting for favor to locate you. Favor has already overtaken you. Things are being pulled out of the fire just before they turn to ashes. Assignments are being rewritten in your favor. Systems are bending. Times are accelerating, and nothing can delay what I have unleashed. I am not only reversing damage, I am establishing dominion in the places where you were once dominated. This is not a season of adjustment. This is a full spiritual realignment. I've shifted the entire environment to match what I've designed for you. Don't be surprised when things feel unfamiliar. You've stepped into the unfamiliar realm of answered prayers. I am not letting the enemy hold the pen any longer. I've taken authorship back into my hands, and I'm rewriting this chapter with fire and glory. What once pulled you backward is now being turned into the very push that will launch you forward. What embarrassed you will now exalt you. What drained you will now elevate you. Even your past is being pulled into obedience. The timeline is realigning to divine perfection. I am not doing this quietly. I am doing it in a way that no one will be able to say it was by accident. It will be so complete, so perfect in timing, so sharp in impact, that the only explanation will be me. I have not simply answered. I have acted. And every delay has turned into a multiplier. Every waiting season is now paying interest. You're not getting what you lost. You're getting what was always intended, in full measure, with double glory and triple confirmation. The spiritual climate has changed, and the cloud of divine response is hovering over you now. I am reintroducing you not to your past, but to your purpose, and this time, nothing will block the arrival. Your name is echoing in heaven's momentum. The trumpet of reversal has been blown. The law of divine recompense is now working in your direction. You are not being pulled out randomly. You are being released because your name was written into this hour. And now that heaven has declared it, all of hell must back away. This is the moment the enemy feared, the hour your enemies denied would come, the time that your own mind struggled to believe would arrive. And yet, here it is. Your turnaround has not only begun, it is unfolding with unstoppable force. Even now, as you sit in stillness, the restraints wrapped around your progress are cracking beneath the weight of my words. Not by your strength, not by your striving, but by the sheer vibration of my authority, the kind that creation obeys and darkness flees from. You don't have to feel it to believe it. I speak, and that alone is enough to undo what generations could not fix. The chains they said would never fall, the inner prisons you thought you'd always live with, are unraveling in real time. I have not needed noise to make a miracle. I have not needed your perfection to bring deliverance. I am moving in realms you cannot measure, dismantling systems of bondage that operated so long you began to call them normal. But I never called them that. I never agreed with the torment. I never labeled you by the burdens that tried to claim you. And so I'm silencing them now, one by one. Chains of fear are snapping in half. Chains of shame are melting in the fire of my truth. Chains of false identity are crumbling at the sound of who I say you are. You haven't yet seen what I've already set in motion, because the transformation always begins where eyes can't reach, in the realm of spirit where nothing escapes my jurisdiction. What bound your peace is now bowing to my presence. I have addressed the curse behind the curtain. I have spoken to the root beneath the ruin. And when I speak, even the silence obeys. The trauma that echoed louder than my promises, I am silencing it. The voices that told you, this will never change, are being drowned in the thunder of my liberation. Chains are stubborn, but they are not stronger than me. I created time, yet I am not bound by it, which means your healing is not scheduled for someday. It's already active now. You may still feel the residue of past prisons, but watch how the atmosphere of your life begins to loosen. Watch how what once held you back no longer has permission to speak. You will begin to sense a clarity where there once was confusion. What felt too tangled to fix will suddenly fall apart with ease. This is not imaginary. This is me intervening in the spiritual structure of your life and rewriting the laws. Chains are falling in bloodlines, in mindsets, in behaviors that became patterns of survival. I am not just freeing your actions, I am freeing your identity. You're no longer a captive of what once claimed you. You're no longer marked by what once broke you. The chains have heard my voice, and they are breaking not because you asked perfectly, but because I love you ferociously. And love, when it speaks, leaves no prison untouched. You are standing in the sound of your liberation, even before you see the locks undone. And as you walk forward, those chains will not be following. They'll be left behind in pieces you'll never pick up again. What you buried in silence, what you wrapped in disappointment and laid to rest in the corners of your heart. I never called it dead. I watched you walk away from it, tears falling from your spirit even when your face didn't show it. I saw how you stopped hoping because it hurt too much to keep believing. But while you gave it up, I guarded it. While you mourned its passing, I preserved its purpose. And now, I have breathed on it again. My breath doesn't just restore, it resurrects. The vision you abandoned, the dream you left behind, the promise you thought had expired. It's stirring, it's trembling, it's rising. I didn't need you to carry it. I only needed your surrender. You don't have to perform to make it happen. I already reignited the flame beneath the ashes. While others walked away from what looked empty, I remain. And now, I'm unveiling what I've been reviving in secret. The timelines you threw away, The deadlines you missed, the moments that slipped through your fingers, I've pulled them back into my hand. I'm bringing it back not in the way you expected, but in a form more powerful than before. It's coming back whole. It's coming back holy. It's coming back unstoppable. You gave up because you reached your edge, but I don't have edges, I have eternity. You assumed my silence meant denial, but it was simply the quiet required for resurrection. I've waited for this moment to show you that what you thought was over was only paused. Even the ground you thought was too hard for seeds to grow has now been watered with heaven's intervention. Don't be surprised when the thing you walked away from knocks on your door renewed, reshaped, and radiant with my fingerprints. The enemy thought he convinced you to release it permanently, but he underestimated my ability to breathe again. You will witness it return, not limping, not barely surviving, but blazing with purpose and wrapped in glory. The things you filed under impossible are now being relabeled in progress. I never forgot the prayers you stopped praying. I never deleted the hopes you archived. I saw every sigh, every time you said maybe it wasn't meant to be. But I have a better word, and I'm speaking it now. This is your wake-up call. Rise and receive what is being revived. What others saw as your closed chapter, I have marked as a plot twist. You're about to walk back into the very space you thought you'd never enter again, and this time, the ending will not be the same. I have restructured it from the inside out. I'm not offering you a copy of what you lost. I'm handing you the perfected version of what was always yours. Don't question how. Don't apologize for your past doubts. Just come forward. Just be still and recognize the movement. The thing you gave up on has not only survived, it's been sanctified. And now, it's alive. What looked like pause was my precision. What seemed like silence was my scheduling. You assumed I had forgotten, but I was actually positioning. There were layers that needed to shift, realms that had to align, timelines that needed to bow to my sovereignty before the release could arrive without resistance. I'm not the god of random reactions. I am the author of strategic perfection. Every second that seemed wasted was quietly weaving into a masterpiece that can now unfold without compromise. I did not delay to punish you. I delayed to protect you. There were things you couldn't see yet, weights you weren't ready to carry, and battles waiting in places you hadn't been strengthened for. So I held it, not to withhold from you, but to ensure the full weight of the promise could rest without collapsing. What others received quickly, you will receive completely. What they rushed into and regretted, you will walk into with revelation. I am not behind schedule. I operate on a frequency that cannot be measured by clocks or calendars. While you cried in waiting rooms, I was assembling rooms you never knew existed. I was aligning voices who would speak for you, hearts who would stand with you, and pathways that were being paved in your absence. You thought you missed it, but I am the God who rewrites time to match purpose. I'm not trying to catch up. I'm commanding the moment. Everything around you has finally synced with my yes. Your spirit is ready, your surroundings are ready, and now the manifestation is free to emerge without interruption. Don't call it late, call it loaded. Because what's coming isn't just an answer. It's a collision of everything I've ever promised you, arriving all at once. It will not be a gradual shift. It will feel sudden to you, but it's been slowly orchestrated with infinite detail. What you thought you lost in delay will be restored in divine overflow. I am not rushing to meet a deadline. I'm revealing what I've concealed until the conditions could honor the full weight of what I am giving. This moment was written into your life before you ever took your first breath. It's not coincidence that you're here, right now, hearing this. It's convergence. And now, nothing can stop what I've set into motion. Even what tried to rise up against you is now being used to announce your arrival. I delayed the spotlight so the stage could be secure. I delayed the victory so the ground could be stable. I delayed the revelation so your character could carry it with grace. This isn't just your time. It's your divine unveiling. And no man can interfere with what heaven has greenlit. You didn't miss your chance. You've just entered the moment I always meant for you to encounter. I have bypassed the logic of human understanding. I have stepped beyond the confines of natural reason. I have heard the whispers, the doubters, the calculations that all concluded it couldn't be done, and I smiled, not because they were right, but because I knew they had no clue who I am. I am the God of impossibilities made personal. I am the one who doesn't ask permission from circumstance before I act. And now, what they said was unreachable, unimaginable, irreversible. I have taken it in my hands and I am placing it directly into yours. Not because of what you've done, but because of who I am. You didn't earn this with effort. You didn't fabricate this with influence. I orchestrated this with my own breath. You've been staring at mountains thinking they were barriers, but to me, they were launch pads. I don't need things to make sense to them. I only need them to submit to me. And they just did. You will see provision where they said there was none. You will see healing where they said the damage was final. You will see restoration where even your own heart stopped asking for hope. What's being released to you now was never in their hands to approve or deny. It was always hidden in my glory, waiting for this exact second of manifestation. What once mocked you with its inaccessibility is now being commanded to honor your faith. I have rewritten the outcome. I have shattered their ceiling and declared you will not live under their limitations. Get ready to hold what they thought would never be seen. Get ready to carry what generations prayed for but never touched. This isn't your reward, it's your inheritance. And that inheritance doesn't depend on effort, it depends on identity. You are mine. You've always been mine. And I give freely to those I love. I'm not negotiating your miracle, I'm enforcing it. Every system that tried to stop it, every voice that tried to sabotage it, every doubt that tried to delay it, none of them had the authority to override my verdict. They said it would take years, and I'm doing it in moments. They said it would take thousands, and I'm doing it without cost. They said it would take influence, and I'm doing it with intimacy. There are no more signatures needed. There are no more approvals to wait on. The stamp of heaven has been placed, and now your hands will receive what only heaven could build. This is the hour where you will no longer just believe for the impossible. You will hold it, feel it, walk in it, and call it yours. They won't be able to explain it. And that's exactly how I planned it. Because I don't need applause. I only desire that you trust me enough to receive what was always waiting for your yes. You were the one they passed by, the one they labeled insignificant without ever hearing your story, the one they chose last, or not at all. But while they skipped over you, I was setting you apart. While they dismissed your value, I was designing your unveiling. I allowed the silence not to punish you, but to preserve you. I hid you in the shadows so that no hand could touch what I was refining. And now I am bringing you forward, not quietly but boldly, not in fragments but in fullness. This is not your introduction to the world. This is the revelation of what I've hidden within you all along. I'm putting my spotlight on you, not to glorify the surface, but to showcase what perseverance has built beneath. The years they ignored are the years I invested. The pain they dismissed is the pain I anointed. And now, the very rooms that once refused your presence will be filled with your name, your testimony, your impact, because I am lighting the path ahead of you, and it cannot be dimmed. I'm not asking for them to approve of it. I'm declaring it over them. Your name is being elevated in places your feet haven't touched yet. Your face is being remembered in minds that once forgot you. Your voice, once silenced by rejection, is now carrying the weight of my word. I'm not just raising your position, I'm reversing the narrative. You were never invisible to me. In fact, you were being woven into a moment where only my hand could bring you forward. They thought your silence was weakness, but it was strength under construction. They thought your quiet obedience meant insignificance, but it was the soil of destiny. I am not promoting you for their approval. I am placing you because you endured the empty seasons with unshaken faith. The tables are turning, and when you walk into the next room, you won't walk in asking if you belong. You will walk in carrying the authority of one sent by heaven. This isn't fame. This is fulfillment. This isn't popularity. This is prophetic placement. They will wonder how you emerged so suddenly, but I've been preparing you gradually in places they never looked. I shielded you so that you could shine without compromise. And now, I am lifting the veil. I am revealing the oil that was cultivated in hidden crushing. You are not just being noticed. You are being honored. And it is not by man's hand, but by mine. The spotlight is not for your ego. It is the beacon of my glory on your life, drawing those assigned to your voice, your mission, your legacy. You are no longer the one passed by. You are the one I have chosen to display my power through. Watch how every overlooked place becomes the platform for your acceleration. Watch how the ones who never made room are now being moved aside to make space for what I'm bringing through you. I have lit the flame, and the world will see what they once chose to ignore. You are stepping into visibility not for attention, but for divine assignment, and no one can turn off what I have turned on. The chaos that has been circling you, the emotional whirlwinds, the mental downpours, the relentless waves of uncertainty, is now losing its force under the power of my presence. I have not ignored the winds that beat against you, nor have I turned away from the waves that tried to consume your hope. I was watching, and I was waiting, not because I wasn't near, but because I wanted you to see what happens when I stand up in the middle of your storm. And now I have. I have risen from within the silence, and with one breath, I have begun to unravel every force that thought it could keep you under. The heaviness that followed you from room to room is breaking into pieces. The weight on your chest is being lifted like fog burned away by the sun. The storm may have thought it would end you, but it will now be the backdrop to your breakthrough. I have not only entered your storm, I've taken command of it. And when I speak, nothing stays wild. The winds obey, the waves retreat. The lightning loses its threat. You don't have to wait for the signs. The collapse has already begun. Every lie that told you you'd never come out of this, every voice that said you'd be buried under the grief or fear or confusion, I am silencing them now with authority they cannot resist. I am not managing your storm. I'm dismantling it. Piece by piece, it's falling apart, and what was once loud will now be still. You will not be known by your panic. You will be known by your peace. This is the moment where your history of survival turns into a legacy of supernatural stillness. You thought you were drowning, but I was holding you afloat the entire time. You thought you were gasping for air, but I was breathing strength into your spirit when you didn't even know what to pray. I've watched you navigate nights that others didn't know about, cry in places no one ever asked about, and now I'm responding, not with sympathy, but with power. This storm is not being calmed gently. It is being overthrown violently by my glory. You won't need to rebuild after this, because I am restoring as I remove. I'm not just ending the storm. I'm redeeming the time it stole from you. Every minute you spent exhausted will now be a season of supernatural rest. Every thought you wasted on fear is now being filled with vision. You are not coming out of this empty. You are emerging equipped. Because while the storm shouted, I was sharpening you. While it raged, I was refining you. And now, you are rising as one who has survived what others thought would swallow you. You will no longer flinch at the sound of wind. You will no longer brace for impact when you hear the thunder. Because you will know, your God speaks louder than any storm ever could. And once I speak, no force in hell can continue its threat. You felt the pressure swirl around you like a force that could not be tamed. Voices like howling winds, circumstances twisting like cyclones, fears rising like tempests that never quieted. But what you didn't see is that I've been speaking behind the veil, commanding what was raging to recognize who I am. The winds were never in control. They only appeared powerful until I opened my mouth. And now, even as you breathe in this moment, the very forces that tried to scatter you are collapsing to their knees in reverent surrender to my authority. They are not just stopping, they are bowing. Because when I speak, no chaos can continue its rebellion. I do not ask the storm to behave. I instruct it to submit. And now the atmosphere is changing, not by chance but by command. The enemy tried to convince you that the winds were louder than my promises. But he forgot one thing. The wind knows my voice. It knows when its time is up. It knows when its permission has been revoked. And I just revoked it. You won't have to scream to be heard anymore. The volume of the enemy has been silenced by the weight of my word. I spoke once, and everything obeyed. I spoke once, and the spiritual turbulence that tried to uproot your peace has lost its permission to continue. The winds are not wild anymore. They are still, they are hushed, they are on their knees. The same winds that tried to move you off course are now being redirected to carry you forward. I have taken what was used to destabilize you and turned it into the force that will now escort you to your next destination. What used to shake your confidence will now confirm your calling. What once shouted fear will now whisper favor. I am reassigning the winds. The turbulence you endured was never random. It was part of a moment I was preparing to flip. You won't walk forward with a limp from the battle. You'll walk with a wind at your back, pushing you into rooms you never imagined entering. You will not be followed by the remnants of chaos. You will be surrounded by the stillness of divine dominion. You will not be marked by the fear of the storm. You will be remembered as the one who stood still until I spoke. This is not about you commanding the winds. This is about me stepping into your space and releasing a voice so supreme, even the storm had to bow. No force of nature, no scheme of man, no spiritual resistance can withstand the decree that has just gone out in your favor. The environment around you is no longer unstable. I've established peace where there was once panic. What shook others will shake you and more. The atmosphere has shifted. The winds have changed their posture. And they are kneeling because the one who made them has just reminded them of who holds the power. Even in moments when you felt hidden, bypassed, or forgotten, your name has been moving through places you've never stepped into. Not through human effort, not through promotion or applause, but through divine strategy. I have whispered your name into the ears of those assigned to unlock doors for you. Conversations are happening in your absence that will change your presence. I'm not sending your resume. I'm releasing your purpose. You haven't had to prove yourself to those who matter, because I've already introduced you in ways that no platform or spotlight could achieve. In places where miracles are mapped out, where divine transactions are coordinated, your name has risen like incense, like a fragrance that draws attention without needing to shout. And what they once saw as ordinary, they are beginning to recognize as anointed. What they once overlooked as common, they are sensing now as chosen. You are not behind the scenes by mistake. You are being placed on the heavenly agenda in perfect timing. I've spoken your identity into the spiritual infrastructure of influence, and now, even systems that never knew you existed are beginning to pivot toward your arrival. You were not meant to chase the spotlight. You were built to carry my glory. That's why the stage is being set in silence. I'm appointing connections that you won't need to orchestrate. You won't need to network your way into what I'm bringing. You'll be drawn into it because your voice is recognized by heaven. Even now, hearts are being stirred to look for someone just like you without even knowing why. Your spirits are searching for the sound I've placed inside of you. And they will know you by the peace you carry. They will know you by the fire you survived. They will know you not by status, but by the seal I've placed upon you. I am the one who elevates without explanation. I am the one who transfers favor with a single word. You don't need to knock down doors. I've already assigned people to swing them wide open before you arrive. This is not about opportunity. This is about destiny, being fulfilled without detour. Every moment you thought was wasted in the wilderness was actually preparation for this unfolding. You thought no one saw you, but I was introducing you in realms that cannot be touched with hands. Where others strive to be noticed, I've already declared you essential. Where others chase platforms, I've carved out a throne room assignment. Don't let the silence fool you. Divine appointments are forming right now in your name. The angels I've dispatched are not carrying titles or accolades. They are carrying blueprints of your destiny, and your name is engraved in their instructions. You are not just being called forward. You are being positioned permanently. You are not passing through. You are being planted for influence. I've made you impossible to ignore, even when they don't understand why. And soon, what I whispered in secret will be shouted through results that only my hand could deliver. Every time you watched others be chosen while your name wasn't called, every moment you stood quietly cheering for people walking into blessings you longed for, I saw it. I saw how you wrestled with disappointment in silence, how you convinced yourself that maybe it just wasn't your turn, or worse, not your destiny. But I tell you now, what felt like rejection was really redirection. You were never out of my plan. You were deeply embedded in it. I was setting you apart because what I've designed for you cannot be contaminated by premature placement or misaligned approval. You haven't been skipped over. You've been shielded. I didn't allow your name to be placed in the mouths of the wrong people. I didn't allow your assignment to be intercepted by those who wouldn't know how to handle the weight of your calling. While others ran ahead, I slowed your pace, not because you weren't ready to move, but because the place you're going required divine preparation. I wasn't leaving you out. I was building a stage that wouldn't collapse when you stood on it. I've been crafting your foundation in the background so that when you step into what's next, you won't flinch, you won't fumble, and you won't need to force your way forward. You will walk in peace, and you will know this didn't come from manipulation or timing games. It came straight from the throne. I know you questioned my silence. I know you looked around and wondered why everyone else's doors seemed to swing wide open while yours stayed sealed. But while you waited, I was constructing more than a door. I was designing an entrance that would announce you without needing applause. You're not arriving late. You're arriving different. The wait won punishment that was a sacred pause while I positioned every detail. I did not want you to enter a blessing you would have to constantly fight to keep. I wanted you to receive a breakthrough that no one could take from you. And so I hid you, refined you, protected you, and now I'm releasing you into territory that's been cleared, prepared, and marked by my fingerprints. What once looked like delay is now revealing itself as divine orchestration. You're not a leftover. You're the main assignment that required extra time. Others stepped into opportunities, but you are stepping into legacy. Others rushed ahead, but you are being launched. There is a difference. And now, everything that tried to convince you that you were forgotten is being proven wrong. By me. You don't have to make noise to be noticed. I've already drawn every eye that needs to see you. You don't have to explain why you've been quiet. The fruit that's about to emerge will speak louder than anything you could say. I'm turning every hidden season into a visible harvest. What you thought was isolation was actually insulation, because fire is always protected until it's time to be revealed. And now, your moment of release is upon you. Not as an afterthought, but as the fulfillment of what I authored long before the world knew your name. You may have mistaken the stillness for absence, but I was never gone. I was preparing an eruption that couldn't be born in noise. I needed to pull you away from the distractions, from the voices that diluted your focus, from the environments that echoed too much of what I never said. The silence you endured wasn't emptiness. It was the sacred quiet where I stretched your spirit to contain what I was about to pour in. You didn't realize it, but I was increasing your capacity in the silence. I was healing wounds you stopped talking about. I was reviving breath in places that felt emotionally paralyzed. You didn't see movement because I was working beneath the surface, pressing your roots deeper while the world only noticed those reaching for surface-level recognition. I don't build on noise, I build in stillness. I don't awaken nations with clamor. I awaken them with the roar that follows my hush. You were never being ignored. You were being instructed in an invisible curriculum. And now, what I've deposited in you during those quiet, hidden, painful moments is about to erupt with clarity. The time of hidden tears and whispered prayers is giving way to a sound that will shake the spaces you enter. What was forged in the silence is now echoing in the spirit. I'm turning your quiet surrender into a declaration others won't be able to deny. I'm raising your life like a trumpet, not for entertainment, but for awakening. You will not need to announce yourself. Your fruit will carry the sound of my power. You will not have to convince them that I've been with you. Your authority will say what your mouth never needed to. I let everything around you quiet down so my voice could grow louder inside you. And now, that voice is rising, and nothing will be able to mute it. Not fear, not rejection, not the trauma of your past. Even the inner battles that used to silence you are bowing to this new sound. This is not just breakthrough. This is divine eruption. What I've been planting in the soil of your stillness is now breaking through with a force no man can contain. You will feel it in your walk, in your worship, in your words. What once felt like dormancy is now thundering with life. The silence was necessary because what I'm doing next couldn't grow in noise. And now that it's ready, it's loud, it's holy, and it's unstoppable. Every drop that fell from your eyes when no one was watching, I caught them all. Not one of them was wasted. I stored them not as sorrow, but as sacred oil. You wept when no one understood, when no words could explain the ache in your soul, when your strength collapsed beneath the weight of burdens you never signed up to carry. But while others looked away, I drew near. I leaned in when you couldn't lift your head. I hovered over your brokenness and held space for your silent groans. And what you didn't see then is now becoming visible. Those very tears are birthing glory. I have taken your private pain and turned it into public oil. You are not rising on applause, you are rising on the altar of suffering. The groans that went unnoticed by men became the sound that moved heaven. Your cries weren't ignored. They were encoded with destiny. And now, I'm using them. I'm using every moment you felt forgotten to anoint the places I'm about to send you into. The world sees outcomes, but I see origins. And your origin was in the night seasons where your faith held on while your heart broke. That kind of endurance becomes power. That kind of hidden warfare becomes legacy. You didn't know it then, but your tears were watering the soil where resurrection would break through. You sowed weeping, but I promised you'd reap with rejoicing, and that promise is colliding with your present. You're not being elevated because of popularity. You're being elevated because you bled in silence and never let go of my name. Your scars are not shameful, they are sacred. They are the ink I've used to write your authority. People will look at your victory and assume it was sudden, but I will know it was forged in years of pressing. You endured the crushing without bitterness. You survived the silence without compromise. And now, I'm taking what you cried over and using it as the very substance that will restore others. The compassion you carry now didn't come cheaply. It was built from loss. The gentleness you carry didn't arrive easily. It was formed in rejection. And I'm turning that weight into witness. You will see others healed simply by standing in the atmosphere you bring. You will watch hearts soften because of the oil that flows from your surrendered pain. This restoration is not just for you, it's through you. I will make your testimony a portal for others to walk through. I will take the place where you cried and make it the ground where others rise. And when they ask how, you will simply point to me, and I will remind them that it was the tears, the ones no one saw, that opened the way for them too. You cried in secret, but I am restoring in public, because what's born in surrender always rises in glory. You interpreted the pause as punishment, the slowness as disapproval, the silence as distance, but I was guarding you from things you didn't even know could harm you. I was holding you back not because you weren't worthy, but because the road ahead had snares hidden in timing that wasn't safe for your calling. I delayed your entrance because premature arrival would have fractured what I've been healing in secret. What looked like stagnation was actually separation, not from me, but from danger. You saw closed doors, but I saw poisoned rooms. You saw opportunities lost, but I saw traps disguised as blessings. I let people walk away not because they weren't valuable, but because they weren't stable enough to steward your destiny. And when you cried, wondering why nothing was moving, I stood in front of you like a shield, absorbing blows that were never meant to reach your heart. Every not yet from heaven was actually a resounding "I love you too much to let you walk into that now." I wasn't slow. I was surgical. I wasn't ignoring your prayers. I was insulating you with my wisdom. I measured the weight of what you asked for, and I built your shoulders in secret so you wouldn't collapse under the fulfillment when it arrived. Even the relationships that slipped through your fingers were part of my strategic extraction. I will never let what's temporary sabotage what I've declared eternal. I don't build with panic. I build with precision. And my delay was me watching you grow roots where others only grew leaves. You thought you were behind, but I was teaching you to walk in step with eternity. You were never late. You were just learning how to move when I move, not when the world demands. I slowed the process to strengthen the vessel. I interrupted your plans to preserve your purpose. I halted your progress so that your spirit could mature into the shape of the promise I made over you. And now, what once felt like withheld favor is revealing itself as overflowing safety. You will see why I waited. You will look back and thank me for every moment I did give you what you thought you wanted. Because now, what I'm releasing is not just opportunity, it is divine alignment. And it will not crush you. It will not confuse you. It will not break you open and leave you scattered. Because I delayed it until you were unshakable. Until you knew the difference between counterfeit and covenant. Until you could recognize my voice even when your heart was tired. This delay was not about denial. It was a detour to deliver you whole, into a space that's now ready and safe for your anointing to thrive. I wasn't just protecting your gift, I was protecting your peace. And I will always value your soul more than your speed. That is why I delayed, because I love you far too much to let you walk into anything without me leading. You've crossed the threshold of waiting. What once stood as an invisible barrier, what used to hold back your prayers in a space that felt unreachable, it has now broken. The moment has come where my word doesn't just hover, it lands. I have sounded the release, and no force can rewind it. The divine hold has been lifted, and everything that's been stored up, restrained, and sealed away is now being unwrapped before your very eyes. You don't need to knock anymore. The vault is opening. You don't have to push. The gates are swinging. This is not a slow drip. This is a flood. What I'm sending won't trickle and tease your hope. It will crash in with a force that redefines your atmosphere. The delay wasn't denial, but it is now dismissed. Heaven's restraining hand has become a releasing wind. There is no spiritual opposition strong enough to rebind what I have freed. I'm not giving you a temporary glimpse. I'm handing you sustained glory. I didn't just lift the lid, I tore it off. The season that tried to break your spirit has no access to the one I've ushered you into now. You won't have to wonder if it's real this time. You won't need confirmation after confirmation. The peace that's coming with this release will testify for itself. The things that were withheld are not coming in fragments. They are coming in fullness. And once I release what was appointed for you, no demon in hell, no lie from the past, no weakness in your soul has the authority to return it to bondage. I am sealing this moment with finality. You won't revisit the wilderness just to check if it's really over. You'll walk past it like one who has outgrown a season too small to contain their promise. I didn't just open the way. I destroyed what blocked it. And the sound of that destruction will echo behind you as a reminder that you're never going back to what you came from. The curse has been canceled. The delay has been dismantled. And the release has been written in ink that cannot be erased. You don't need to plead anymore. You only need to position your hands to receive. Because I'm not delivering crumbs. I'm unloading treasure. You were faithful in the shadows, and now I'm honoring you in the open. You endured the ache of almosts and not yets, but that ache is now giving way to awe. I'm placing you in spaces where what I've spoken will surround you tangibly. You will see what I've said. You will hold what you only hoped for. And you will walk in what used to feel distant. Not by striving, not by striving, not by striving, but by promise. And this promise is not fragile. This release is not dependent on perfect behavior. It is rooted in my covenant with you. I chose this moment. I timed this unfolding. I declared this outpouring. And now that I've begun, There's no returning to delay, no reopening of old disappointments. You stepped out of waiting and into fulfillment, and there is no turning back. The final moments of what once felt like stillness are now trembling with divine pressure. You can sense it in the atmosphere. Something is shifting that can no longer be contained. You're not stuck. You're stationed. You're not late. You're aligned. And the clock of heaven is striking in rhythm with your surrender. You're not just close. You're within reach of something that will shake every stagnant place into motion. The pressure you felt wasn't punishment, it was divine buildup. I've been gathering glory behind the veil, waiting for the precise second to break it open over your life. The countdown isn't coming, it's active now. You are moments away from what I've long been preparing in silence. This isn't a gentle unveiling. It's a spiritual detonation of what's been compressed by obedience and sealed by my timing. You are standing at the edge of manifestation that cannot be delayed, diluted, or denied. What's about to be released will not come in phases. It will arrive in fullness, with a roar louder than every voice that told you to give up. I've wrapped layers of blessing into this moment, and none of them will fall short. Each second is pulsing with prophetic weight. What the enemy thought he'd block forever is now erupting in a way that cannot be managed by human hands. The countdown isn't a warning, it's a celebration. You are not about to fall apart. You're about to fall into everything I've spoken over you. You were prepared for this explosion through every crushing, through every silent night, through every surrendered yes that felt like it led nowhere. But now every seed buried is bursting into bloom, all at once. It will be too big to hide, too fast to explain, and too perfect to dismiss. I am not giving you time to brace for it. I am releasing it because you've already been built to carry it. Don't fear the pace. Don't question the size. I made you with the capacity to host what is about to come crashing in. The divine countdown is not the end of something small. It's the ignition of something unshakable. It's the birthing of legacy that will not dim, even in seasons to come. Every not yet is bowing to my now. Every delay is dissolving under my decree. The spiritual tension you feel in this moment is not warfare. It's the sound of heaven stretching the earth to make room for your explosion. And when it hits, you won't need to introduce yourself. The explosion will speak on your behalf. Your prayers have built the fuse. Your praise has kept the fire alive. Your faith has guarded the flame. And now, the divine match has struck. I'm not just bringing a shift. I'm releasing a spiritual blast that will leave no area of your life untouched. This is your moment, not to prepare, but to stand still and watch everything explode into alignment under the weight of my power. You didn't understand it at the time, how doors slammed shut in your face, how relationships dissolved without warning, how opportunities that once looked so promising vanished before they could flourish. You questioned your worth. You questioned your timing. At times, you even questioned my hand. But what you saw as rejection was actually me rerouting your steps with precision too holy to explain in that moment. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was protecting what you hadn't yet grown into. I watched as others turned away and didn't recognize the treasure they were walking past. But I let them walk because their absence was required for your elevation. I heard every no and allowed it, not because you were unqualified, but because they were unequipped to walk with the version of you that I was about to reveal. The pain of being put aside was not punishment, it was positioning. I was using every refusal as a tool of divine redirection. Had they welcomed you, you might have settled. Had they accepted you, you might have compromised. But rejection shattered the illusion of fitting in where you were never meant to stay. I allowed their dismissal to ignite your detour into destiny. You thought you were being exiled, but you were being extracted from places too small for what I was growing in you. There no made room for my next. And now, the holy unveiling I've prepared is emerging, not in shame, but in glory. Not in delay, but in divine rhythm. I never left your side through the heartbreak. I stood with you while you cried over the empty places they left behind. But even in that loss, I was building layers of strength, authority, and discernment. I was stripping away dependency on people and birthing complete trust in me. Now look, the unveiling has begun. What they walk away from, I am crowning. What they didn't value, I am vindicating. You are not just being revealed, you are being revered in the Spirit. This unveiling is not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving that my plans were always right. I am lifting the curtain not to put you on display, but to reveal what my love has accomplished in the dark. This moment is not manufactured. It is holy. The very pain they caused will now be the soil from which I bring forth your greatest bloom. Every place you were cast out of will become the testimony of where I called you higher. Their absence was a loud cry of heaven saying, I'm calling you deeper. And now, every closed chapter is turning into a stage. Every goodbye is becoming a setup for a glory that cannot be explained. They will look and wonder how you got here. But you will know, it was a rejection that rewrote your route. And I, the author of your story, never once missed a line. This is your unveiling, not as a wounded one, but as one who was always wrapped in divine preservation. This moment is not general. It is not vague. It is not just another passing season. I have branded it with purpose, and your name is seared into it with the fire of my intention. Nothing about what you're entering is ordinary, and nothing about you will remain hidden beneath layers of uncertainty any longer. I have carved your name into the timeline of this season like a flame that cannot be extinguished, a signal in the heavens that this hour has been set apart for you. Not for comparison, not for compromise, for fulfillment. I did not pencil your name in. I etched it with the flame of my promise. That's why this can't be delayed anymore. That's why nothing has been able to stop what's coming, no matter how many obstacles tried to rise. Because this season doesn't belong to your past. It belongs to your destiny. This fire is not the fire that destroys, it's the fire that defines. And doesn't consume you, it consumes what tried to contain you. Everything that attached itself to you in the last season, without my permission, is being burned away. You are walking out of the smoke, not as a victim of the fire, but as one who was refined inside it. I have written your breakthrough into this moment with finality. The enemy knows it. Heaven knows it. Even creation is groaning in anticipation for what's about to be revealed through you. You've been walking through the valley wondering if you missed your moment, if somehow your timing was off. But what you didn't see is that the terrain you struggled across was leading you directly into the territory marked for your rising. And now, the season I lit with holy flame is opening in front of you. It is unmistakable. It will carry your fingerprint. It will answer prayers you forgot how to ask. It will touch generations beyond you, because this marking wasn't just for your benefit, it was for legacy. I have declared this season unshakable because I am in it. The fire you feel is not opposition. It is me branding the ground with your name, commanding everything around it to come into alignment. When you step forward, things will move not because you demanded it, but because this is the moment all of heaven has been leading into. You carry the sound of assignment. You carry the oil of survival. And now, you will carry the authority of fulfillment. The fire that has gone before you has not only cleared the path, it has purified the promise. No more delay. No more fear. This is the moment you realize that what was once just a distant word is now blazing beneath your feet. You are not walking randomly. You are walking on fire-written promises. You are walking on divine orders that cannot be revoked. I have sealed it. I have spoken it. And now, I am revealing it. Not in mystery, but in manifestation. This isn't merely about favor falling into your hands. It's about legacy being planted through your life. I'm not pouring out blessing just for your enjoyment, but for a greater assignment that extends beyond your lifetime. I chose you not only to receive, but to release. The overflow coming your way isn't meant to end with you. It's designed to run through you like a river that touches dry places others forgot. I've called you a vessel, not a vault. I'm not giving you increase so you can store it, but so you can steward it. You've asked me for provision, but I've prepared you to become a foundation, And this foundation is not fragile. I've reinforced it with every sacrifice you thought went unnoticed. I was watching when you gave with nothing left. I was listening when you spoke life even when your heart was breaking. Those moments didn't pass by me. They built the frame I'm now using to construct something unshakable through you. I'm forming something through your obedience that will ripple far beyond your sight. You see a blessing. I see a blueprint. You're expecting breakthrough. I'm laying bricks. Through your life, I'm building shelters for others to find rest. Through your journey, I'm constructing testimonies that will guide the lost back home. Even your most painful chapters are becoming beams of strength in this holy structure. I'm using it all: the joy, the loss, the confusion, the endurance. Every moment has value in my design. Don't reduce what I'm doing to a single answered prayer. What I'm constructing is multi-generational. It's holy architecture, not a quick reward. You are becoming the evidence of my promise in motion. What I begin through you, no one will be able to dismantle. Your life is becoming a voice without speaking, a map without words. You'll walk into rooms and change atmospheres, not because of what you carry in your hands, but because of the fire I've hidden in your spirit. I'm raising you as a living altar. Those who encounter you won't just see someone who's been blessed. They'll feel my presence because of what I've built inside you. You've longed for a moment of relief, but I've destined you for more than comfort. I've anointed you for construction. You'll build what others tore down. You'll restore what previous generations let fall apart. And you won't need a platform or a title. Your obedience is the cornerstone, and your faith is the cement. I'm not blessing you because you begged. I'm building through you because you surrendered. And what I build through yielded hearts cannot be shaken, delayed, or reversed. This isn't just a new season. It's a new structure, and you are its cornerstone. They looked at the broken pieces and assumed it was over. They saw the damage, the cracks, the collapse, and they gave it a name rooted in defeat. But they didn't see what I saw. I never labeled you by your lowest moment. I never called your story finished when it fractured. In fact, I called it fertile. I called it ready. Because in the very place they saw ruins, I saw raw material for resurrection. I don't discard what's broken, I draw near to it. I gather it. I breathe on it. I begin again, not around it but within it. And now, I am speaking life into what others declared lifeless. I'm not rebuilding you in the image of what was. I'm constructing something altogether new, something born from the ashes they abandoned, something shaped by my fire and defined by my grace. You were never ruined, you were ripening beneath the surface. I allowed the shaking, the collapse, the crumbling, because I was removing what couldn't hold what I was about to pour in. You saw destruction. I saw preparation. You saw emptiness. I saw the making of space. The wreckage they walked away from is where I've planted the first beams of glory. And what I'm raising from this ground won't resemble what used to stand there. It won't carry the flaws of the past framework. It won't echo the errors of yesterday. It will carry a fresh design, heaven-authored and spirit-breathed. Even now, your spirit is sensing the shift, the deep inner knowledge that what once felt like an ending was the threshold of something holy. You are not rising despite the ruin. You are rising because of it. I'm using the very dust they left behind to write my name across your life again. And this time, it will shine. Not because it's perfect, but because it's redeemed. What they gave up on, I'm turning into wonder. What they couldn't see value in, I've called a masterpiece in progress. I've chosen the brokenness as the birthplace of beauty. And now, the rising will be visible. The rebuilding will not be silent. You won't just survive what broke you, you will be known as one who rose from it with divine fire in your bones. You are my proof that restoration doesn't mean going back. It means going beyond. So let them talk about the ruins. Let them remember what collapsed. Because while they revisit what fell, you will rise into what I've raised up. And when they look again, they won't see the wreckage, they'll see the radiance of one who was rebuilt by the hand of the living God. They saw the aftermath of your losses and laughed. They pointed at the ruins of what once was and labeled it the end. They misunderstood your ashes as evidence of defeat, not knowing that I had hidden divine oil within them. What they ridiculed was actually residue from a sacred fire. What they dismissed as useless debris was the very material I'm now using to anoint your destiny. I never told you to hide your ashes. I told you to hand them to me. And you did, even when you didn't know what I'd do with them. You gave me the remnants. You gave me the grief. You gave me the crushed dreams and the scorched identity. And now, I'm gathering those ashes like holy dust and pressing them into something new. I'm turning the smoke of your sorrow into the fragrance of revival. Every loss that threatened to break you is becoming oil that will heal others. You didn't understand it then, but every time something burned to the ground, I was setting the stage for a holy anointing that couldn't be stolen, copied, or diluted. This anointing wasn't created in comfort. It was pressed from your pain, refined through your tears, and ignited in the middle of what should have buried you. That's why it's powerful. That's why it carries weight. Because this isn't shallow glory. This is sacred oil, poured from the place they mocked, from the moment they said you'd never recover. And now, I'm turning their ridicule into your recognition. They called it over, but I'm calling it origin. They tried to bury you beneath the ashes, but I'm raising you through them. You will walk forward not with smoke on your clothes, but with glory on your head. The ashes are no longer signs of mourning. They are ingredients of ministry. I'm crafting a legacy from what they tried to laugh away. And you won't have to defend it. You won't have to argue about it. The oil will speak louder than any accusation. The weight of what I've poured into you will silence the mockery and expose the miracle. You are becoming a carrier of restoration, not just because you've seen the fire, but because you survived it and brought the ashes to me. I honor that. I multiply that. And now, what was mocked is being multiplied, not in secret, but in full view of those who once looked down. Because I always use the least expected things to do my greatest work. The ashes are now altar material. The fire is no longer consuming, it's commissioning. And you are walking into a future anointed not by titles, not by tradition, but by what I've created through the pain they never thought I'd use. Everything I've done in your hidden seasons is about to speak for itself. The battles no one witnessed, the crushing no one comforted, the obedience no one applauded, I saw it all. I was the one molding you in moments that never made it to the eyes of others. I wasn't punishing you with obscurity. I was clothing you in glory that can't be fabricated by exposure. I was shaping you with fire, training your spirit to recognize my whisper in the wilderness, not just my wonders in the crowd. You wondered why I kept you out of view, why platforms passed you by, why your prayers for open doors seemed answered with silence. But I wasn't keeping you back. I was pulling you deeper. Deeper into me. Deeper into truth. Deeper into trust. And now, that deep place has formed roots strong enough to carry the weight of what I'm about to place on your life. I did not let you be seen before you were ready. I didn't let your influence outrun your character. I allowed you to be hidden because I was writing something on your life that could not be rushed. And I'm giving you from a bad road to 400 Ivor fame. Ivor fulfillment. This is not performance. This is purpose being made visible. You won't have to strive for attention. You won't have to push to be heard. What I've built within you in the silence will now radiate from you in ways that draw the right eyes, the right hearts, the right connections. And they won't be drawn to your image. They'll be drawn to my imprint. Because your unveiling will look like the world's definition of promotion. It won't be inflated noise. It will be undeniable weight. The kind of weight that shifts atmospheres, that anchors wandering souls, that turns confusion into clarity. Your life will carry evidence, not of popularity, but of process. You didn't skip steps. You didn't shortcut pain. You stayed when it hurt. You believed when it didn't make sense. And I've been waiting for this exact moment to reveal what I've created in the cave of consecration. You will now walk into rooms where your name was never spoken, and yet your spirit will be recognized. Not because of you, but because I've gone before you. I've made you into a vessel of my presence, and now I'm placing you in spaces where visibility is no longer dangerous. Because now you know, you weren't built to be seen, you were built to be sent. And now, you're being sent, on assignment, in power, with clarity, and without apology. What I started in secret, I will now finish in the open. But make no mistake, this is not your arrival. This is my emergence through you. The time has come where what I've hidden within you must now be revealed, and there is no earthly power, no demonic interference, and no past failure that can reverse what I have decreed. I did not form your destiny in the courtroom of human opinion. I did not design your future based on performance, popularity, or perfection. I wrote your story in the halls of eternity, sealed it with my authority, and released it with full awareness of every flaw, every fall, every hesitation you would face. And yet I still said yes to you. I still called you worthy. I still chose to place my glory within a vessel that has known breaking, because I always choose the broken to carry what cannot be shaken. So let the voices rise, let the critics speak, let the doubts whisper. None of them hold the pen. I alone am the author and the finisher, and I have not surrendered that pen to your past, your fear, or their disbelief. The unveiling I am performing will silence what tried to define you. I am not waiting for their approval to proceed. I am not asking permission to elevate what I formed in fire. This is a sovereign release, and it will not be blocked by human resistance or spiritual warfare. The accusations that tried to attach to your name are losing their grip, because I have already washed it. I have already renamed you. I have already vindicated you in realms the earth can't see. I don't consult shame before I crown. I don't consult history before I honor. And I don't consult your guilt before I commission. I'm not intimidated by what you've been through. I'm igniting it. Your mistakes are not barriers, they're proof of mercy. Your weakness is not a liability. It's the backdrop where my strength shines brightest. And your journey, as jagged, delayed, messy, and misunderstood as it may have been, is the very soil where I planted my word, knowing it would grow. I've already factored in the storms. I've already covered the detours. I've already accounted for every fall, and still, have ordained this unveiling. No betrayal has voided it. No delay has deleted it. No failure has canceled it. And no lie can unwrite it. The stage you're stepping onto now is not one you built with your own hands. It's one I formed with my own breath. It won't collapse under pressure, because I am the foundation. It won't shatter under scrutiny, because I am your defender. I've gone before you, and I've cleared every voice that tried to disqualify what I've sealed. Your unveiling is not fragile. It is flame-tested. It is not hopeful. It is guaranteed. Because I don't just open doors. I anchor the path behind them. So walk forward, not as one who is uncertain, but as one who knows. Nothing man-made can hold back what heaven has declared finished. Nothing formed against you can override what I have already released into motion. You don't see them, but they've already gone before you. Assigned by my word, released by my authority, activated by your obedience, angels are now surrounding every path I've called you to walk. They are not waiting for you to catch up to the vision. They are preparing the ground before your feet touch it. They are removing what would have entangled you, lifting what would have crushed you, and dismantling what the enemy planted in secret to delay your arrival. I have not sent you into the unknown alone. I have not asked you to navigate destiny in your own strength. The unseen realm is more active than ever, and heaven's forces are fully engaged on your behalf. Every barrier the enemy built while you waited, every resistance that formed while you healed, every snare laid in moments of silence, it is being overturned before you even encounter it. The places that once held hostility are being softened. The systems that once denied you are being restructured. You won't need to fight your way through. You will walk into spaces where warfare already bowed before you arrived. My angels aren't standing still. They are clearing lanes, pushing back darkness, and making room for the magnitude of what I've placed within you. This isn't favor that enters late. This is glory that arrives early. You'll notice how things start falling into place without effort, how people begin to cooperate without reason, how things long stuck begin to flow. That's not coincidence. That's coordination from above. I've orchestrated a divine rhythm where even the delays serve your direction. The places you used to pray to access are now being arranged to welcome you. You will not be met with resistance but with readiness. Because I've sent help from heaven, not to follow you, but to lead the way. They've gone into meetings before your name was mentioned. They've stood in doorways before keys were handed to you. They've turned hearts before words were spoken. This is not manipulation. This is movement ordered by the King. You felt alone, but the unseen realm has never been more populated in your favor. They are standing at your side when you sleep. They are watching over the places you step into unsure. They are echoing my decrees when your faith feels thin. You may not see their swords, but the battle is shifting because they are fighting on your behalf. And their assignment is not temporary. It is ongoing. I haven't just sent protection, I've sent acceleration. I've sent clarity. I've sent strength. There are angelic reinforcements responding to the promises I made long before your feet ever reached this point. This is why you survived what others didn't. This is why you're stepping into what others said would never come. Because while they questioned, I deployed. And now, you are walking into paths that have already been made smooth, not because of your power, but because my presence walks ahead of you. You don't need to beg for breakthrough. You need only to keep walking. The hosts of heaven have already gone ahead. The shift you are feeling, the momentum you cannot explain, the sudden clarity pressing through the fog, this isn't the result of your effort. It's not the reward of performance or the fruit of strategy. It is my power, alive, active, unleashed, and undeniably at work in your life. You've done what you could. You've stretched in obedience, but what's unfolding now has stepped beyond the realm of what human strength can build. You've reached the edge of your limits, and it's there, in that holy surrender, that my unlimited force is rushing in. My power doesn't ask for ideal conditions. It doesn't negotiate with the facts. It doesn't consult your feelings or measure the strength of your resume. It moves in the face of impossibility and rewrites what reality said could never happen. You are about to witness this firsthand, not from a distance, but as the one through whom my glory bursts forth. I will not share this moment with pride, nor will I allow ego to take the credit. I am stepping in with might that doesn't need help, with authority that doesn't need validation. And when I move, no one can resist it. Mountains melt in my presence. Seas part at my command. Chains that have lasted for generations dissolve in a single word from my mouth. This is the power I am using now, not just to touch your life, but to transform everything it touches through you. It's not subtle. It's not slow. It's sovereign. You won't be able to explain how the door opened, how the healing came, how the resources aligned, how the way made itself clear. You will simply know, it was me. You will walk into victories you didn't orchestrate, and blessings you didn't build. And the world will look and try to trace it back to your method, but there will be no blueprint except your surrender. That's all I required. A heart that believed when there was nothing left to believe in. A spirit that stayed soft when everything said to shut down. I've chosen your weakness as the very stage for my strength to perform. I've allowed the emptiness so I could fill it in a way that left no doubt. This is me. I'm not coming with powerful help. I'm coming with overwhelming force. Not just to lift you, but to carry you across thresholds you were never strong enough to cross on your own. I'm not activating just enough power to survive. I'm releasing the kind that leaves no area of your life untouched. Miracles are going to break out around you like wildfire. Walls will collapse with no warning. Closed systems will open like gates on hinges they didn't even know they had. And when they ask, how did this happen? You'll point not to your hands, but to mine. Because this is not your doing. This is not your wisdom. This is not your talent. This is my unstoppable power, moving in its appointed time, through a yielded vessel, for a purpose too holy to fail. And now that it has begun, nothing can stop it. You wore shame like a garment once, not because I put it on you, but because the voices around you made you believe you had to. They pointed at your failure, at your delay, at your silence, and they used it as evidence that you weren't chosen, that you weren't enough, that maybe I had moved on from you. They didn't see the crushing you endured behind the scenes. They didn't feel the weight you carried in silence. They didn't understand the depth of the surrender that didn't have applause but had tears. What I did, I was there for every inward collapse and every time you put on a brave face in public while your soul was unraveling in private. They thought your fall was final. They whispered that your story was over. But what they saw as disqualification, I've transformed into qualification. I am now reversing the narrative. I am stepping into the very spaces where you were mocked and turning them into stages where my glory will be revealed through you. I am preparing a table, not just in the presence of your enemies, but in front of the very ones who questioned your worth. And this isn't revenge. This is redemption. This isn't payback. It's purpose shining through scars that couldn't be silenced. What once made you feel exposed will now become the very proof that I was with you the whole time. I'm not just covering your shame. I'm converting it. I'm flipping the evidence of what hurt you into the testimony of what healed you. Those who doubted will now witness what divine restoration looks like. They'll see the oil, the strength, the clarity, and they'll realize they underestimated what I can do with someone fully surrendered. You won't have to defend your journey. You won't have to prove you've changed. My favor will do the explaining. My fruit in your life will speak louder than the failures they fixated on. The ones who gossiped about your breakdown will now see your breakthrough, and not from afar, but up close. I will allow them to see how I crown those who cried in silence. I will let them witness how I restore those who stayed faithful in the dark. And when they try to understand it, when they try to reconcile who you were with who you've become, the only explanation will be me. Because no man can take credit for what I'm doing next. You will no longer carry the weight of shame. That garment is being torn off by my own hands. In its place, I am dressing you in dignity. In its place, I am wrapping you in royal identity. You are no longer defined by what went wrong. You are now defined by what I am redeeming in full view. What they used to bring you down will now be the very evidence of how high I'm lifting you. And it will be impossible to ignore. Because this celebration isn't coming with silence. It's coming with sound. Sound that echoes joy, restoration, and undeniable glory. Shame at its moment, but it has been dethroned. This is the hour of celebration, and I've written your name into it. There have been battles where you stayed silent, not because you lacked words, but because you knew that anything you spoke would be twisted. You've been accused, misunderstood, ignored, and judged without cause, and in the quiet of your heart, you wondered when I would speak up on your behalf. Let me tell you now, I have not been quiet out of indifference. I've been waiting for the appointed time to reveal what you could not say. You didn't need to fight them back because I was watching, collecting every unjust word, every sideways glance, every false assumption. I don't just observe, I act in due season. And that season has now arrived. You will not have to chase vindication. You will not need to explain your silence. I have taken your case into my own hands, and I will represent you better than any argument ever could. I'm not defending your pride. I'm defending your purpose. I'm stepping into the courtroom of public opinion, not with retaliation, but with undeniable truth. The truth of what I've been doing in you when they thought nothing was happening. The truth of who you are beneath the assumptions they cast on your name. The truth that has been growing in power while they've been busy trying to write your story without knowing the author. I've seen the moments when you wanted to speak, but instead, you trusted me. That trust was not wasted. that surrender is now the very altar where I am releasing divine justice. You don't have to make them see your heart. I'm exposing what they were blind to. I am not bringing judgment to punish them, but I am bringing clarity to establish you. The ones who cast shadows on your name will now witness the brightness of my vindication over you. And it will not come with drama. It will come with undeniable fruit. Your character will speak where words cannot reach. Your peace will silence their assumptions. The elevation I am bringing will answer questions you never needed to address. I am placing such a heavy presence of my glory on your life that it will dissolve the lies without you ever opening your mouth. Because I am not just your redeemer. I am your defender. You will no longer exhaust yourself trying to correct narratives I never asked you to fix. You are free from needing to be understood by those not assigned to carry your story. I'm not waiting for their permission to clear your name. I've already spoken over it. I've declared it righteous. I've declared it chosen. I've declared it my own. And now, every tongue that rose against you will fall silent, not in shame, but in awe, because they will see that it was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving that my justice is holy, timely, and unstoppable. So rest, beloved. I'm defending what you gave to me. And when I defend, no accusation survives. You didn't have the strength, the plan, or the full understanding, but you had a yes. A trembling yes. A weary yes. A whispered yes from a place no one else saw. That yes, though small in your eyes, shook heaven. It moved me. Because I never needed perfection, only permission. And in that moment of surrender, even when your hands were empty, I received more than words, I received your heart. That yes opened a door the enemy has tried for years to close. It became a landing strip for my promises, a legal access point for me to do what only I can do. And now, I'm taking that yes and multiplying it into things you didn't even know you were allowed to dream. You gave me your availability, and I'm turning it into an avalanche of divine appointments. You gave me your willingness, and I'm turning it into a wave of supernatural increase. What felt like a whisper in the dark has now triggered a roar in the spirit. That simple yes is being echoed through eternity and answered with acceleration. You didn't say yes because you saw the end. You said yes because you trusted my voice. That kind of faith is rare, and it is holy to me. It wasn't your resources that qualified you. It wasn't your status that gave you access. It was your surrender that gave me space to step in. I'm now filling every area you emptied. I'm enlarging the territory around your yes, not as a reward, but as a fulfillment of the very reason I created you. The places where you said, I don't know how, are becoming the places where I say, watch what I can do. The moments you thought were insignificant are about to turn into markers of miracles. I've taken your yes and sown it into the soil of destiny, and now it's breaking open. Not just one door, but many. Not just provision, but overflow. You didn't have to impress me with a flawless offering. Your yielded spirit was more than enough. And now, from that yes, I'm raising the kind of fruit that will feed nations. I'm igniting fire that will burn through generations. I'm multiplying not only in your life, but through your life. What you thought was just for survival is turning into a sanctuary for others. Because your yes didn't just move you, it moved heaven. And what moves heaven is never ignored. It is multiplied. It is magnified. It is made manifest in ways no eye has seen and no ear has heard. This is the harvest of your yes. And it's only beginning. I know how the clock has loomed over you, how each passing minute felt like pressure, how every year that went by whispered that you missed something, that the window had closed, that maybe you disqualified yourself without even knowing it. You've watched others rise while you remained still. You've questioned why your moment didn't arrive when theirs did, why your yes didn't explode into breakthrough the way you hoped. But time in my kingdom does not bow to earthly clocks. I do not operate by your deadlines, your calendars, or the expiration dates spoken over you by people who didn't understand your process. You are not late. You are not delayed. You are not behind. You are arriving at the intersection of divine alignment, the exact second when my promise collides with your preparation. The reason you didn't see before wasn't because it wasn't real. It's because I was making you ready to carry what others would have crumbled under. I didn't deny your promise. I preserved it. And now, when others think the hour is too far gone, I will show you that the miracle is right on time. You'll watch what couldn't move for years shift in a single day. You'll see prayers that sat unanswered ignite with sudden fire. What you thought was too broken to matter anymore will become the very stage for my glory to manifest. Don't look back at missed opportunities and call them lost. They were seeds I buried for a better season. And that season is now. I'm not making up for lost time. I'm fulfilling what was always mine to give at the appointed moment. You don't need to strive to catch up. You need only to stay close. My miracle doesn't operate on effort. It flows from my presence. I'm about to show you how swiftly I can restore, how precisely I move when I'm ready to act. I'm not rushing you. I'm revealing what I've been holding until you were ready to receive it without fear. What others called too late will become the proof that I am always on time. I haven't forgotten what you laid down. I haven't missed the hidden yeses, the silent sacrifices, the unseen loyalty. I tucked them all into this moment, and now I am unfolding it before your very eyes. You will realize that I was never ignoring you. I was orchestrating a miracle so specific, so personal, that it required the very timing you're standing in now. This is not a delay. It's destiny dawning right on schedule. So breathe deep, beloved. The pressure to perform is broken. You haven't missed anything. You are standing in the exact second I designed to unleash what's been waiting all along. And nothing, no misstep, no detour, no doubt has stopped what I've written with fire. You are not too late. You are right on time. Right on the edge. Right at the door. And this miracle has your name written on it. There are blessings with your name on them, promises handwritten by my Spirit and secured in the chambers of heaven that no man, no system, no failure, and no demon can interrupt or intercept. What I've ordained for you is not vulnerable to sabotage. What I've authored for your life is not up for negotiation. I don't place your inheritance in the hands of public opinion. I don't leave your destiny exposed to those who tried to tear you down. I seal what I give, not with fragile ink, but with the eternal mark of my authority. When I say something belongs to you, it is final. Not because you've done everything right, but because I have declared it righteous. You've been afraid, at times, that what you hoped for might be given to someone else, that maybe you missed it, maybe you weren't strong enough, maybe someone's voice drowned yours out. But I need you to know, my promise is not a prize to be competed for. It's an inheritance to be received. An inheritance is secured not by striving but by sonship. You are mine, and what I've set apart for you will not be reassigned. I am placing a seal around every open door that's meant for your feet. I am guarding every breakthrough meant for your hands. And the timing you thought was uncertain is actually being locked into motion. Not only are my angels protecting the path, I myself have stepped in front of what I gave you to make sure nothing and no one contaminates it. The counterfeit will no longer confuse you. The noise will no longer distract you. I'm drawing clear lines between what's yours and what's not. You'll no longer chase what was never assigned to you, and you will no longer fear that what is yours might disappear. I am settling the atmosphere around you. I am surrounding your portion with peace. Even in your moments of doubt, my grip never loosened. You worried that your delay would cause disqualification, but I knew the delay would make you discern better. I let you walk through the places of not yet so that when your portion arrived, you'd know it was me. You'd know by the way peace wraps around it. You'd know by the way your spirit breathes instead of battles. What's yours carries the rhythm of heaven, and I have sealed it with my breath. Even the people who tried to step into your assignment, even those who tried to mimic what you carry, they cannot replicate what has been marked by my Spirit. They can imitate the shape, but they cannot duplicate the oil. I've put something on you that can't be copied, and I've placed something before you that cannot be touched by deception. You won't have to fight for your place. I've already fought to make sure it's preserved. What belonged to you will wait for you. What's yours is not leaving. It's being held until the moment I say, now. And that moment is close. Closer than you realize. So release the anxiety. Drop the fear. Stop wondering if it's too late or if someone got ahead of you. Nothing given by my hand can be taken by another. I am sealing it now, and my seal never breaks. What once echoed with disappointment, the closed chapters, the missed chances, the moments that collapsed under the weight of your expectation, is now being written by the hand of my favor. You've looked back at certain seasons with regret, wondering if different choices would have changed the outcome, if a little more strength or a better opportunity would have made the pain avoidable. But what you called failure, I have always seen as fertilizer. Fertile ground for a future shaped by grace, not by shame. I have watched you carry the weight of what if, all the while knowing that I never left you in those places alone. I saw your heart break when the doors did open, when the relationships dissolved it, when the outcomes betrayed the effort. But I never let those losses be final. I preserved every ounce of pain, every lesson learned, every seed buried in confusion. And now, I am reversing the residue of what looked like ruin with a release of favor that cannot be explained. I am lifting the heaviness of past disappointment and replacing it with clarity and celebration. The places where your confidence cracked will soon be the places where your testimony roars. You will look at what once embarrassed you and see it dressed in beauty. I'm not repairing your past. I'm redeeming it. I'm not simply making it tolerable. I'm making it powerful. Favor is now flooding the areas where shame tried to build a home. My favor will speak where your strength gave out. It will fill in every unfinished line, every broken attempt, every effort that felt wasted. There is not a single failure in your history that I cannot use for future glory. I specialize in reversals. I am the God who turns graves into gardens, deserts into fountains, and regrets into revivals. Your failure is not the end. It's the exact place where my supernatural beginning ignites. You've been living under the shadow of not enough, but now I'm moving you under the cover and of more than enough. You've seen yourself through the lens of the past, but I've always seen you through the lens of purpose. Even your detours have been woven into the map of divine timing. And now, the favor that is being poured over your life will reintroduce you not as a person marked by failure, but as one molded by faith. You won't have to justify yourself. You won't need to prove that you've changed. The fruit will speak. The doors will open. The timing will align. And those who knew you only by your struggle will now witness the overflow of my favor, turning everything they doubted into undeniable evidence. I'm not making up for the past, I'm transforming it. The echoes of defeat will be drowned out by the sound of rejoicing. And you will say, not with bitterness but with awe, what I thought with the end was just the beginning of God's best. Every time you looked at the situation and whispered, there's no way, I leaned in closer. I never turned away from the impossible. I moved toward it. I wasn't discouraged by what overwhelmed you. I wasn't threatened by the size of the mountain or the silence of the delay. The thing that made you feel small only highlighted the space where I could show up big. You saw the odds stacked against you and felt suffocated, but I saw a setup for the miraculous. What made you want to quit drew me deeper into the middle of your mess. I don't seek what is simple. I seek surrendered hearts willing to say, even if I don't see the answer, I still trust you. That whisper of faith you offered in the shadows was an invitation for me to come in power. And I have accepted it. I've been hovering over the very place where you lost hope. I've had my eye fixed on the details that felt irreversible. The closed reports. The doctor's diagnosis. The financial drought. The relationship too shattered to salvage. I'm stepping into those places, not because they're easy, but because I specialize in the impossible. I'm not afraid of what seems final. I'm not limited by what logic defines. I am the author of reversal. a creator of things that never existed before. I speak into nothing and birth something that shifts everything. And now, I'm doing it for you. I'm writing impossibility into testimony. I'm taking what you crossed off your list and making it the next thing to come alive. I'm not improvising, I'm fulfilling. What looked too far gone has not expired in my hands. In fact, the timing is more perfect now than it ever was before. You thought the miracle had a window, but I'm showing you it has a pulse. And it's beating stronger now than it did when you first asked. You will need to figure out how. That's my job. Yours is simply to believe again, to lift your eyes and say, if you're still willing, I'm still here. I am willing. I am able. And I am already in motion. There are solutions being released right now that no strategy could have engineered. There are doors swinging wide that don't have human handles. There are assignments being handed to you that bypass systems and explanations, because I want it to be clear that this wasn't by might, and it wasn't by power, but by my spirit alone. The impossible has never scared me. It excites me. It's the stage I choose to show you that I don't just answer prayers, I exceed them. I'm not coming through the normal route. I'm showing up through walls, walking on storms, resurrecting what they buried, and flipping the script in ways you never saw coming. Because I'm not here to meet expectations. I'm here to blow them away. I'm here to remind you that what was never supposed to happen is now about to happen, because I said so. I never asked you to be flawless. I never needed you to pretend you were whole. The very parts of you that tremble, that ache, that cry out for help, those are the parts I've chosen to fill with my strength. The world taught you to hide your struggle, to mask your limits, to silence your desperation. But I have never been repelled by your lack. I've been drawn to it. While others celebrate perfection, I come for surrender. While others admire power, I move in weakness. I'm not embarrassed by your dependency. I designed it. You've tried so hard to hold yourself together, to prove you're capable, to reach some invisible standard of being enough. But I never called you to carry what only I can sustain. I didn't anoint the version of you that never breaks. I anointed the you that came undone in the quiet, who whispered, I can't do this alone, and kept going anyway. That whisper carried more authority than you realized, because it gave me access. And now, I am stepping into the spaces where your strength ran out. I'm inhabiting the wounds that still feel open. I'm pouring glory into the cracks you thought disqualified you. I'm lifting burdens you've hidden beneath smiles. You are not too weak for me to use. Your weakness is exactly why I've chosen you. Because my strength doesn't rest on the capable, it rests on the willing. And you, in all your imperfection, said yes when it counted. You didn't run from the fire. You stayed when everything screamed to leave. You didn't collapse under the crushing. You offered me the broken pieces. And now, those pieces are becoming altars. I'm building something out of the places you wanted to erase. You won't have to cover up your process anymore. You won't have a fake stability when your soul is learning to walk again. I am turning every fragile part of your story into a canvas of divine power. When people see you rise, they won't see someone who did it on their own. They'll see someone who walked because I carried them. They'll feel something when they get near you, not because of what you know, but because of where you've been and how I brought you out. The atmosphere around your life will shift, not because you're strong, but because you're surrendered. And that surrender is birthing the kind of power that doesn't fade, the kind that lasts, because it wasn't propped up by performance, but grounded in presence. I'm turning your frailty into a fire that never dies out. I'm using your past fragility to house present authority. You are not a mistake. You are not too broken. You are the exact kind of vessel I choose, one that leans on me for everything. So let them count you out. Let them see your cracks. Because I've already poured oil into them. And from this place of dependency, you will rise, not by your own force, but carried in the arms of the one who never asked you to be enough without me. The dry season you've wandered through, the one that seemed endless, barren, and silent, is now beginning to tremble under the sound of my voice. I watched you walk through it faithfully, though you questioned why the ground wouldn't yield. I heard every cry that echoed back without answer. I saw how the silence pressed on your soul and made you wonder if you were even heard. But the wilderness has never been a place I feared. It is not a punishment. It's a proving ground. And what you thought was a forsaken wasteland is now becoming the very place I will release my flow. I don't just wait for the rain to come. I command it to spring forth from within the ground that others call dead. I am not dependent on clouds to bring provision. I make streams from stones, rivers from deserts, and fountains from fractured places. You will no longer just survive in this wilderness, you will thrive in it. The same terrain that exhausted your spirit will now nourish your soul. I have spoken life into the soil, and suddenly what was dormant is starting to break open with fruit. You'll begin to notice the atmosphere shift around you. You'll see connections forming without your striving. You'll feel hope rising where there once was heaviness. And it won't make sense in the natural, because I'm doing something supernatural. I'm making water come from places that have never known rain. I'm causing clarity to rise out of confusion. You are no longer being tested, you are being refreshed. But don't forget, this water isn't from effort, it's from my word. It's not from what you've done right, it's from who I am. My voice carries power, and when I speak to a barren land, it must obey. Even now, your soul is sensing that shift. Even now, your feet are standing in the first ripples of a spring that won't run dry. You didn't wander for nothing. You were led here not to be broken but to be filled. I drew you into the wilderness to remove the noise, to refine your dependence, and to prepare you for this outpouring. And now, the quiet is giving way to rushing waters. The thirst is being quenched. The exhaustion is being replaced with renewal. I'm not just giving you a drink, I'm making you a source. Others will come to you in their own desert seasons, and what I've poured into you will flow into them. You'll speak with wisdom born in silence. You'll lead with oil pressed from lonely places, and the same wilderness that once strained you will now become your testimony. You'll no longer dread the desert. You'll remember it as the sacred ground where my word proved itself faithful. And just like I promised, I've turned what was dry into a dwelling for rivers that will not cease. Because where I speak, life always follows. You have walked under invisible barriers for too long, ceilings of limitation placed not by my hand, but by voices that couldn't see beyond their own fear. They called it realistic, but I call it restriction. They labeled you according to patterns they understood, according to cycles they survived, but I never assigned you to those patterns. I didn't call you to blend in. I didn't raise you to stay where they capped you. I've been watching how you contorted yourself to fit into rooms too small for your spirit, how you lowered your voice so you wouldn't disturb their comfort, how you stepped aside when you were meant to take the lead. But I never asked you to dim your fire, I asked you to carry. And now, I have shattered the ceiling they built over you, not quietly, but with a crash that will echo through every room that once made you shrink. What they said with too much was actually just enough for what I designed. The limits they spoke were never my truth. They were projections of their own fear. But your capacity wasn't built by fear. It was forged by fire. It was expanded in secret while no one was clapping, while no one was watching, while you stayed faithful with no spotlight. And now, the pressure that tried to keep you under is breaking apart, because I've said rise. You won't have to push through ceilings anymore. They are already removed. You won't have to make space. I've already expanded it. The rooms that once rejected you are now being renovated by my hand to accommodate the weight you carry. You're not walking back into them the same. You're walking in marked, refined, and irreversibly sealed with purpose. They won't know what changed, but they'll feel it. The same conversations that used to silence you will now shift when you speak. The same environments that once drained you will now draw from you, not to take, but to receive what I've entrusted you to release. Your mind has been renewed, your spirit has matured, and your ceiling hath been shattered. There is no longer a lid on your influence, your reach, your voice, or your vision. You will soar in spaces they said you weren't ready for. You will build in territories they claimed you'd never access. You will outgrow every label they used to box you in. And not because you fought for your place, but because I called you out. I'm not negotiating your elevation. I'm enforcing it. The ceiling is gone. The limits are broken. The only direction now is up. And as you rise, don't apologize. Don't look down. Don't shrink to comfort the ones who never believe. Keep your eyes on me. I'm not just lifting you higher. I'm giving you the sight to see what you could never see before. This next level won't feel like striving. It will feel like breathing. Because this is the altitude I always made for you. You're no longer surviving under limitations. You're now living in liberty. Welcome to your unshakable expansion, and we're only getting started. There are realms of release opening over your life that were once closed, not because I withheld them out of anger, but because the timing wasn't aligned with your readiness. Now it is. The space you've been praying for, the shift you've been sensing but couldn't define. It's not just coming, it has arrived. I've not simply answered your prayers. I've elevated the very plane on which your prayers operate. You are now standing in a frequency of favor that doesn't make sense to those who watched you struggle. They will not understand how everything is moving this fast, how everything is flowing this easily, how doors are responding to your presence without your knocking, but you'll know. You'll know it's because I've tuned your life into a spiritual signal that pulls favor out of invisible places. This favor is not a reward for being perfect. It is an overflow of obedience refined in suffering. You didn't chase it, you were shaped for it. You didn't beg for it. You became aligned with it. And now, the favor I am pouring over your life isn't trickling in gently. It is coming like a current that overtakes every area that felt neglected, delayed, or dry. You are walking into environments where favor will introduce you before your voice does. You'll step into rooms where your name has already been spoken with honor. You'll touch opportunities that once seemed distant and feel them melt into your hands like they were always yours. Because they were sealed for this moment. Not earlier, not later. Now. This is not favor you have to maintain by performance. This is favor protected by my decree. You are not climbing through human channels for access. I've brought you above them. I've seated you in a higher place where man's approval can no longer delay what I have established. What once required years of striving will now be handed over because I have spoken it. I'm not giving you scattered blessings. I'm giving you dimensional favor, the kind that reaches beyond logic and pulls from realms you didn't even know existed. Your connections are changing. Your capacity is stretching. Your surroundings are being rewritten to reflect the favor I've placed upon you. This isn't temporary momentum. This is a new atmosphere. One where answers appear before you finish the question. One where help arrives before you know you need it. One where divine intersections pull you into assignments that multiply without burdening your soul. You are being clothed in recognition not for your sake, but for my purpose. Your favor is not ornamental. It is strategic. It is the divine evidence that I am releasing through your life, something weighty, something generational, something eternal. And now that this dimension has opened, you will not be returning to the old. The system that once resisted you no longer has jurisdiction. The gatekeepers have been overruled. The delay hath been vetoed. And favor, real favor, has taken the lead. Walk softly but with authority. Speak humbly but with confidence. This is holy ground now. Favor has settled in. And where favor flows, nothing remains the same. The blur that has lingered around your understanding, the haze that kept your clarity just out of reach, it wasn't punishment. It was protection. I allowed you to walk with limited visibility so that your steps would stay dependent on my voice. I guarded what you couldn't yet carry. But now, I'm lifting the last veil. I'm tearing down the final filter that blurred your perception of what I was truly doing all along. The fog is clearing, not by your effort, but by my decree. You are about to see, with spiritual precision, not only where you are, but why the journey had to unfold the way it did. What once looked like scattered fragments will begin to form a divine blueprint. I'm illuminating the threads that once seemed disconnected, and suddenly your story will make sense at a level deeper than explanation. It will carry revelation. You will no longer just believe because you trust. You will believe because you see. I'm not giving you surface sight. I'm giving you vision with weight. Vision that discerns motives before words are spoken. Vision that identifies assignments wrapped in disguise. Vision that recognizes divine timing, not by logic but by alignment in your spirit. This kind of sight doesn't come through study, it comes through surrender. And you surrendered in silence long enough. And now your eyes will adjust to the brightness of what I've prepared. You'll see people differently, not through the lens of past pain, but through the clarity of your healed perspective. You'll recognize doors that once looked ordinary as being portals of purpose. I'm not just showing you what's in front of you. I'm showing you what's behind it, what's beneath it, and what's on the other side. You will walk with an awareness that disrupts confusion without even speaking. What once made you second-guess yourself will now affirm who you are, because you will no longer doubt what I show you. The veil was never meant to stay. It was only meant to train your ears before I unlocked your eyes. And now, with both sharpened, you are equipped to navigate spaces that would have crushed you before. Don't be surprised if things you once tolerated begin to irritate you. It's because vision changes what you accept. You'll no longer entertain distractions that wore the mask of destiny. You'll stop chasing the familiar and start embracing the divine unfamiliar. I've broken the veil, not to overwhelm you, but to empower you, to let you see how much I've truly invested in your future. You'll start to sense how close everything is, how orchestrated every delay was, how intentional even your heartbreak became in the hands of redemption. This unveiling will not be temporary. It will be a permanent shift. Your days of guessing are over. Your season of squinting through fog is done. You'll wake up with awareness. You'll walk with discernment. And you'll war with accuracy. Because those who see rightly fight differently. This isn't just about knowing. It's about seeing me in ways you've never seen before. And once you see me like this, you'll never see yourself the same again. The veil is gone. Let your eyes adjust. This is your new vision. You have been speaking, but it hasn't always been from the depth of who I created you to be. For too long, your words have been filtered through the residue of rejection, dulled by disappointment, or hesitant from prolonged silence. But I never designed your voice to echo fear. I made it to release truth that shakes systems. I didn't gift you with language to survive. I gave you sound to shift. And now, I'm bringing you back to the frequency of your original design, the vibration that causes hell to tremble and atmospheres to bow. You will no longer borrow boldness from external confirmation. You will speak with conviction rooted in my spirit, not in their approval. This restoration is not about volume, it's about resonance. I'm tuning your inner world until what comes out of your mouth matches what heaven hears over you. Every syllable will carry weight. Every phrase will drip with the anointing forged in your private crucible. Your voice is not random. It's a divine instrument shaped for breakthrough. And I am fine-tuning it, cleansing it from echoes of the past, from tones shaped by trauma, from inflections rooted in insecurity. I am reclaiming the voice you had before they silenced you, before they shamed you, before you second-guessed the fire I placed on your tongue. This time, when you speak, walls will not only shake, they will fall. Not because you yell louder, but because what's backing your words is me. Your voice is being aligned with heaven's cadence. What felt stuck in your throat before will now flow freely. Not just in prayer, but in strategy. Not just in intercession, but in instruction. You won't just speak to worship, you'll speak to build. You'll declare blueprints, announce direction, affirm identity, and dismantle lies, all with the force of truth laced in my authority. This voice I'm restoring won't just change rooms, it will change people. It will call destiny out of those still bound in delay. It will reach hearts too afraid to believe again. And it will carry the fragrance of where you've been with me, because no one who has survived what you survived can speak empty words. I am restoring your voice, not just so you can express yourself, but so you can echo my heartbeat on earth. You will not only pray differently, you will prophesy from a place you've never known. You'll speak and see things shift immediately. And it won't be performance. It will be presence released through language. Every place that tried to steal your sound, I am redeeming. Every season that muted you, I am reversing. You will not live beneath your volume any longer. This is not noise. This is the sound of awakening. Your sound. The one I placed in you before you had words. The one shaped in the silence of your suffering. The one the enemy tried to silence with subtle warfare and unspoken wounds. I'm calling it back. And it will rise with such power, even those who once ignored your whisper will turn at your declaration. Because when I restore a voice, I don't return it quietly. I crown it with my fire. And now, your sound is returning, full, whole, unstoppable. Speak, not as you were, but as I've reawakened you to be. There are storms that passed close, disasters that circled, pressures that hovered with threat, and you felt them breathe against your skin. But they didn't break you because I didn't permit them to. You thought you were lucky, but it wasn't luck. It was me shielding you in a way you didn't see. I've built an invisible armor around your life, and while others trembled under the same weight, you were being marked by mercy that cannot be earned. What brought down stronger people didn't take you because I wrote exemption over your name. This isn't favoritism, it's covenant. The kind of covering that doesn't just repel evil but renders it powerless in your vicinity. You've been wondering why the breakdown didn't reach you, why the wave of disaster hit others and stopped short of your door. Now you know. I have wrapped you in a supernatural insulation, not to isolate you from growth, but to protect what I planted inside you from contamination. I've reserved your life for impact that must remain uncontaminated by the warfare around you. This isn't ordinary protection, it's consecrated immunity. The kind of divine defense that makes your steps untouched even while walking through fire. The heat may have licked your ankles, but it couldn't enter your bones. The sorrow may have brushed your shoulder, but it didn't settle in your soul. The chaos tried to find access, but I canceled the agreement it tried to make with your atmosphere. From this point forward, you will begin to notice how things that once strained you now have no effect. People who once manipulated your peace can no longer locate your vulnerability. Attacks that used to trigger old reactions will now collapse before they complete their approach. Not because you've grown numb, but because I've made you immune. Immune to fear dressed in urgency. Immune to lies wrapped in flattery. Immune to distractions parading as opportunities. I've sanctified your spirit to recognize threat before it manifests and to disengage before it damages. Your discernment is now a barrier. Your purity is now a shield. Your quiet obedience is now a fortress. You are not moving through life hoping things don't fall apart. You are walking in certainty that nothing will touch what I've sealed. Even the consequences meant to catch up with you have been intercepted. Not by ignorance, but by intercession. I stood in between what was chasing you and said, no further. Because your assignment cannot be compromised. I've assigned angels not just to observe but to engage, to block what was plotted and disarm what was planned. You will sleep differently. You will speak differently. You will stop preparing for disaster and start planning from peace. What traumatized others will testify through you. Because I am using your immunity not as escape, but as evidence. Evidence that I still preserve. That I still distinguish. That I still raise up those who dare to say yes when it costs them everything. So stop bracing for what's not coming. Stop preparing for a storm I've already dismissed. The plague won't touch your tent. The famine won't empty your table. A curse won't cling to your garments. You are surrounded. Not lightly. Not temporarily. Completely. And this immunity will not fade. It will follow you. Through valleys and platforms. through noise and stillness, through abundance and uncertainty. Because I didn't seal you for a season, I sealed you for a legacy that must arrive whole. Keep walking, and watch the weapons fall before they form. Amen.